Welcome back to Ydt Dreamcatchers podcast, where we don't chase dreams,
We catch them.
Caught. You may see, obviously, we are down a man, but we got to keep it going. Shout out my guy K. Couldn't make it today.
Shout out K.
But that's okay. Why is that okay? Because we are here with
we caught up to
a very, 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 very special guest. Who is the guest I'm talking about? I'm talking about the executive director of Mentor Milwaukee, powered by the Milwaukee Bucks. I am talking about a man who is making a change in the community, a man who is living out his dream of impacting the youth, living out his dream of making a difference. I'm talking about the one and only Lanelle Ramey. How are you doing today, boss man?
Hey, man, that was an introduction for real, man.
I
take all of it. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man. I take all of it.
So we are very glad to have you. Like I told you before this, like you were one of the first people that came to my head when we first idealized this whole concept of this podcast, just because of your impact in the community. Like whether you know it or not, it's being seen by everybody, especially our generation.
Respect. I respect that. Thank you, bro.
How does that even make you feel, knowing that, you know what I'm saying, the young people are looking at you and seeing that?
Oh, that's dope. I mean, you do the work, I call it heart work. So when you do it from the heart, right? And so at the end of the day, you hope you change somebody's life or help somebody's life or impact somebody's life or change a policy or something. So it's exciting just to hear, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. When did Mentor Milwaukee become the dream?
Well, I was fortunate. So this was actually a partnership, right? When you think about it, Mentor came into kind of the mind of the former school superintendent, Dr. Darian Driver. And she sat down at the time, Mayor Tom Barrett, and she heard about other affiliates throughout the country called Mentor. She was like, it'd be dope if it came here. And so I was on her team at the time, and she said, you know what, I want you to go help lead kind of the team and get this started. And so I was on the team, early on. I've been doing this kind of work for almost 30 years. So for me, it was like, oh, this is going to be raw, right? Because I think it was really designed to support young people differently than what we've seen before. So 2019, we officially launched, and we'll be celebrating 5 years in January.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
So when did mentoring become the dream?
I think back early on when I started working at MPS, actually. So you got to go way, way back to almost like 1994. I know that's before some of y'all birthdays, but nevertheless, I started working in the school system, actually, and it was interesting that I didn't think I wanted to do that type of work, but then it just clicked. Like, young people started to really come to me about their situations or their issues or their help or just show some love. And I just said, you know what, this is kind of cool. So I've been doing it ever since in some capacity, differently.
I love it. So when did you know that you caught the dream?
I think when I used to show up in the space that I was working with young people and they were excited to see me coming. Or when they were having a bad day and when I walked in the space, the day got better, right? So whether they came and gave me a hug, because at the time I was working with like 2nd grade through 5th grade. So, they huggers, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they run up on you and hug you. So when you start to see that, that started to me saying that this is something I can do. This is where I can have a real impact. This is where I think I can make some changes in life. So, and that was, to your point, it was caught when I think years later, I would see kids I would have when they were in 5th grade in 1994, and I see them now and they still give me a hug. Like, that's raw. To me, I listen, I love that. I saw a kid at the Bucks game. Played with me on my basketball team when he was in 5th grade. Back in 94, he walked in. I think he had just turned like 30-something, 34 or something, 33. He's like, Mr. Lanelle. And he gave me some love, and he had his own little kid. So that's type of stuff I love that. Yeah.
Basketball? So you had a basketball team?
Oh, yeah. I was in basketball for about good 25, 30 years. I'm a father, so I got kids, grown kids. But I coached AAU basketball for about 20 years. I was fortunate enough to coach with programs like the Running Rebels, Playground Elite, Wisconsin Phenom, Wisconsin United. Like, I've been around, some great young people, but some great programs.
Steve, that's how you know Steve.
Big homie. Big homie.
Why would you say, hey, you Playground Elite? Boom.
Listen, man, that's why I call him Big Little Brother. Because I'm older than him, but he's a big dude. So you know what I mean? So it's my man.
So Steve, for you guys who don't know, that's my cousin, and I found out that he was good friends with my cousin. I was just on Instagram, and I saw him post a picture talking about that's his brother.
That's my brother.
And I'm like, wait.
Yeah, we go.
It's my cousin.
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir. My man.
that was beautiful. That was amazing.
Yeah. He didn't want to recruit me into AU, which is funny because he recruited my sons to come play. And my oldest is now 32, and my youngest boy is 28. And so he recruited them when they was in 4th and 3rd grade.
Oh,
Yeah, does you understand?
Speaking about your son, I know he's out in the community doing big things, Brandon.
A little B.
Yeah, how you feel about that, seeing him?
You know, man, as a father, first of all, you always want your kids to follow their own dreams. So when you talk about caught, I always say, I want y'all to catch what y'all want to catch. Don't follow my footsteps. I want you to do better than I ever have. So for B, he kind of fell into that role.
Oh, yeah?
Like, he didn't really go chasing community work. He kind of fell into a role, and he was like, I guess watching me do it, he was like, oh, this slick. I think it's all right. You know, I can't do
like
it.
Pops.
You know what I mean? So, you know, but everywhere he go, though, the knock on that is he got to hear, oh, you Lanelle's little boy, so you little Lanelle. I'm like, no, I'll call him B. Give him, you know, he earned that, right? He earned this respect. So, yeah, so it's exciting, man, to see him do the work, be on the grind, so to speak. And like he said the other day to me, he was like, he wants to make a change, too. So that's heavy for me to hear him say that, because he got 2 sons, too. So, you know, he's making a difference right there with them, too.
I know he's making a difference because he had some dinner for young Milwaukee leaders. That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, him and his guy B, Braylon, decided that something needs to happen in the community for young people 29 to 22. And you know, I know it's tough for like that age because y'all can't really get in no places we grown folk be at. They tell y'all tear stuff up. And B and Braylon wanted to show the city, no, we can do something nice and have a good, you know, night for them. And like he was excited, man. It was a great turnout.
I love it. No, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
When you hear the word community, what are the first 2 words that come to your head?
First 2 words, family. Family got to be one. I think, you know, we lost that a little bit, but family is definitely first. Second, together. So family together to me are the 2 words because, you know, we have a responsibility for each other, even if we don't understand that. Whether you're across the street, behind the alley, next door, or down the block, it don't matter. We have a responsibility in our community to really look out for one another, right? Like, and that's important to me. That's why work I do is important. When you think about mentoring, there's a quote that Bill Russell, old Boston Celtics, says. And he goes, yeah, you go, you know. But he was dope. But he said something. There's no such thing as other people's kids. And when you have that mentality, that's what community is supposed to be about. You know, we got to, whether we look at each other as brothers and sisters and whatever it is, we got to really take to heart the importance of being examples or supporting young people on their journey. So,
I love it.
So what you guys got planned next for Mentor Milwaukee? Where you plan on taking it next?
Well, you know, we continue to, like I say, build the brand. And what I mean by that is it's important for me that people understand really how effective and how important mentoring is in the young person's life. When I think about young people, I think about, you know, people your age all the way down to 6 years old, right? And so we're going to continue to kind of build that. So we're actually in January, we're planning for January, our first of all, our 5th birthday, so to speak. And then we're doing a big symposium where our goal is to get 350 people to come, and we're going to bring experts from around the country to talk about mentoring. But I want people to understand mentoring doesn't just happen, say, on the block. It's supposed to happen in the classroom. It's supposed to happen when y'all show up to work. It's supposed to be happen when you go to church. Mentoring should be happening everywhere in a young person's life. It's not about y'all having one mentor. We believe that a young person needs to have a mentor everywhere they set foot. So our goal is to continue to build that. So January, we're doing the symposium. And then eventually in the next couple of years, we really want to be, you know, Mentor Wisconsin. We want to grow it to the point where people are talking about this throughout the entire state.
Yeah, that's big.
What is a mentor?
Well, a mentor really, I like to say, is simply put, a guide on the side. Like, my job as a mentor is not to create a mini me, right? And my job is not to make you become me. My job is to say, help you figure out what it is your dream is, and how do I help you navigate that dream? Like y'all say, caught, right? Yeah. Like, my job ain't to try to catch it for you and hand it to you. My job is to make sure as you navigate it, when you stumble, I'm like, hey, you good? Like, go catch it, right? Like, that's my role as a mentor. That's really what we want people to understand as a mentor. And it looks different for different people. That's why I say you're going to have multiple mentors in your life, right? Like, you can't have one type of dude or one type of person, you're going to see a billion of people. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Because I always wonder because like when I think of mentor, because like for example, I look at mentors as it can be a famous person that you don't know who you can look to from afar and learn from, and then it can also be a direct companion, a direct connection that you have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and you think about it, like, and that's a great point, because I think now that the social media and the internet is such a big part of our world, a lot of people focus on sometimes people they can't touch. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or indifferent, because I grew up in the era where Jordan is the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Jay the GOAT, man. Like, but watching him on the court, that's what I saw. When I went to the court myself, I'm licking my tongue out, I'm trying to rock the cradle, you know, all of that. But that's because that's all I saw, right? A mentor really, it's got to be somebody that can be real with you, authentic, put something in your ear, again, remind you, like, no, even if my path wasn't the same one, I got to recognize when you off. So we always say the best thing about a mentor, it really should be somebody outside of your home. Whether you got a great mother, a great father, it don't matter. It's really about, do you have another adult in your life who's pouring into you and supporting you on that journey? So mentors, they look different ways, right? Y'all know Kwabena Antoine Nixon, the poet here in Milwaukee?
I know.
Cool brother, but he always says to me, like my homeboy, he says, Lanelle, because there's some mentors on the block right now, but they ain't no positive mentors. So our young people that's dealing with stuff and navigating life, there's always that person in your ear that might be on that BS. And that's why you have to make sure the people you got next to you, or the ones you call big homie or big cuz or big sis or whatever it is, really got your best interest at heart. Because sometimes people want to lead you down the same path so they can see you fail. Like, that's always as hell to me.
No, you just made a good point. Talking about how you can have a mentor, but a mentor can be negative or positive.
Listen, bro, like, you can have somebody that's call you little homie, like, that's my little bro, that's my little sis, but lead you right to the jail cell, lead you right to the grave, right? And that's because that little person getting that love, and because whatever big homie's doing or whatever, they're going to follow that because they're getting that love. A true mentor comes in and says, no, bro, I got to steer you off the right path. I remember a story when I was at school, so my backstory is I went to the best high school there ever was, Riverside University High School. And I'm standing on that. So I went off to college. I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And for those that don't know, Morehouse is an all-black male, prestigious school. I didn't even think I could get in. I had a 2.4. I shouldn't have been there, but I got in. Thank God, right? But I had a roommate that was from LA, and he came from Compton. Now at the time, I gotta remember, this is 1990. So this is kind of fresh still with NWA. We only heard it from a distance. We didn't know about no Crips and Bloods and all this and Crip walk and all that. But I remember him telling me the story, him living on the block. And the big homies kept saying, you're not going to bang. You're going to school.
That's what you needed.
Now, mind you, this brother, like, I'm talking about, when we talk like deep, because he was my roommate. And we talked so much about, like, his life. And he kept saying, like, every time he wanted to do wrong, they'd be like, nope, gone, and they would go do wrong. So it's easy for even negative people on the block to still push you away. That's the positive side. Like, so a dude doesn't necessarily have to be squeaky clean to be a good mentor. You just got to make sure that young person is following their path, not the path you on, especially if you're on some BS. What
advice would you give a young person who's seeking a mentor, who wants somebody to come help guide them, but they don't know where to look?
First I say start at school. Like, so if you're school age, right? Say 12th grade down, start at school. Is there somebody that you can, tap into that will allow you to be your authentic self? And when I say that, are you able to walk in a space as a young person and be you, like whatever that looks like? And does that adult accept that? Lean in on that, right? And then the second thing is, what else are you doing? Are you at work? If you're working age, if you're in a church, if it's somebody that's, I did a training one time for Evolve Church, and the men there, and one of the things I told them is, like, you can be a mentor, but please don't go just trying to preach this, right? It's about, first of all, everybody gotta have their own relationship with God. So guess what? You ain't gonna talk them into that.
Exactly.
So what can you do to lean in? So a young person really look kind of in those spaces first. If you play any type of sports, what about your coaches, right? And then on that, look at places like Boys and Girls Club, Running Rebels, Big Brothers Big Sisters. Like, there's a lot of programs that exist that young people can get involved in. So,
how do you think? I should say, what's some ways that parents can come out and reach out and get their kids in the type of programs you mentioned?
First of all, parents got to understand, and it's funny y'all got me on the podcast because we're actually working on doing like our first podcast coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a dope one. So I'm catching. So we're working with a group of parents actually who have children who are athletes, right? So a couple of them sons are actually in the NBA. And then one of them, their sons, is a top-level player at Virginia. And we're going to have a conversation around how parents going to learn to trust. I think we, and I'm going to say we as parents, like, we protect our babies so much that we don't trust to let go and let somebody else pour into it. So the first thing parents have to do is learn to let go in certain situations. I'm a father of 8 now. Me and my wife have a blended family, right? And so, again, the oldest is 32, youngest is 19, about to be 20. I had to go over the years, allow somebody else, i.e. another man, step in and be a role model and not trip. Same thing with mothers, right? Like, you got to allow your child to hear the other stories. Like, Brandon will tell you in a heartbeat, like, I want to give me plenty of black eyes, right? Like, but I have to step back and let other people step in so they can like reinforce maybe what I'm saying. So parents, again, is there a teacher that you can go in and have your kids lean on and be like, hey, and don't do it when your kid, like, a lot of times we see parents only do that when their kids are bad. Like, I hate that. Like, oh, he messing up. Oh, it's for time for a mentor. No. Early on, start trusting and surrounding your kid with positivity. Put them in sports. Let them do extra activities. They ain't got to be the next LeBron or next Michael, but if they're involved in stuff, it's going to be a natural opportunity for mentors to be engaged with. So parents got to learn to let go a little bit and be vulnerable. Ain't no parent a super person, right? Like, we want to be superheroes. We want to make sure our kids don't want for nothing, right? But you can't do nothing on your own. You got to allow other people to pour into your kids.
Who was Lanelle's mentor?
It's funny, like my homeboy, so freshman year at the Riverside University High School.
The Riverside, okay.
So there was a guy named Tom Wild, right? It was his first year, homeroom, and Tom Wild is a white guy, about 24 years old, corny, corny. The fam couldn't dress, haircut was whack, walked funny, but dog came to class and just was like, Lanelle, we're gonna rock this out, right? So fast forward, I had him as a teacher sometime throughout my entire senior year. So I remember senior year, I told you I went to Morehouse, right? So back in the day, y'all, when you go to college, you had to fill out the entire application by hand, right? So man, it wasn't none of this. It was just, you had to do that. So I'm sitting at the desk at school somewhere, and he comes and walks into class, and he drops a folder right in front of me. He was like, "You're gonna go to this school right here." It was Morehouse. Like I told you, I had a 2.4.
Wow.
That to me, like, I never thought, like, even though he continually poured into me, talked to me, dialogue with me, he was like, nope, this is where you're going. And so I filled out the application. And so I went through the process. So I also think about, I believe in God's will too. This was in like January of 1990. If you're applying to college, you're supposed to do it like in October, November. Man, this was like January.
Very tough.
Yeah.
Like they already picked
everybody, they got all their 4.0, 3.9, 3.8, and here goes Lanelle, 2.4, right? And so I did the application, and it was crazy because I never got anything in the mail. So now we're pressing on March. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Are you even going to college?
Am I going to school? And he looked at me like, you good? He said, call him. So I called the school. And, oh, yeah, you got in. My bad, we forgot to send a letter. That's how crazy it was back in the day, right? My fault. And then they mailed the letter, and that's how I got in. And after that, I started to trust myself more. So fast forward, I did 1 year at Morehouse. I found out I was going to be a father. I decided to transfer back here. I applied to Marquette. And that's the only school I applied to. So mind you, I only applied to Morehouse, got in, and only applied to Marquette. And that's because of Tom Wild. He said, no, bro, you can do everything. I told you, white guy, corny white guy, but cool as hell. Now, mind you, if you talk to any student that went to Riverside during his tenure, he did all the black leadership stuff. He was the head of everything. So he was a real dude, too. They talk about being woke. He was woke before woke was a word. Like, he was a real dude. And so he really blessed me. And now, to this day, we still connect. We go grab lunch every once in a while. He was a speaker for me at one of my events that I had. So I got mad love for him. So.
Talk about the events. What type of events do you have?
So we do a number of things from like recruitment fairs, like mentor recruitment fairs. Next week, we're hosting a reception for school districts to come and learn how they can partner with us. We do our number one thing we do is trainings. So when you think about a mentor program like Running Rebels or Big Brothers Big Sisters or Boys and Girls Club, we'll go and help train their people around what it means to be a mentor. I told you we mentioned the symposium. We're doing a symposium in January. That's going to be a conference. We'll have our goals have about 16 different things that people can go learn from. And so other than that, we do a lot of, like with the Bucks, who are one of our best partners, who allow us to use space and do things like this. Every month, we host a mentor of the game. Last year, Bobby Portis was the sponsor of that, and he was phenomenal. So we were able to bring that mentor of the game to a game. They got a chance to meet Bobby, take a picture with Bobby, great seats. They get acknowledged on the Jumbotron just for the work they do, right? So again, remember, my job is to advocate for mentoring and make sure people understand I appreciate what y'all do. So how can I acknowledge that? By rewarding you in some form of fashion.
And all that does is make them want to keep going hard.
That's how I look at it. Exactly. You know, you praise somebody,
recognition go a long way.
Go a long way. Pat somebody on the back instead of crucifying them. So yeah.
The reason why, like, especially for me, why like mentorships are like me, I'm my only kid and I don't know my pops. So I literally had to get mentors to basically teach me how to be a man, how to like live
and accept mentors.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because that's the hard part. Like, I tell people all the time, like, being vulnerable enough to be like, dog, I need help with you. Or ask for help or show it is one thing. But even the mentor has to be vulnerable. Like I always tell this story. Every training I do, I tell every mentor this. Please don't tell your kids you're mentoring the story of you now only. They got to know your journey. Like I tell kids, I was a knucklehead. Like so, I talk about they got to know like I went through stuff too. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I had a great life. I think I had a great moms and pops. And the great thing about me, like my stepfather raised me. Like he married my mother when I was 5. I remember the wedding, but he was been in my life since I was like 2. But I know my biological father as well, and so we have a great relationship now. And so I feel like I was blessed, but I still had to learn. So it was the uncle sometimes that did this. But then when I went to the basketball court, it became the big bros in the basketball court that kept talking and saying, "Little Joe, real fam, you gotta chill out. Like you doing all that barking." But so you learn to gravitate to that regardless of your situation. And we gotta, I want young people to understand too. That's why seeking a mentor, back to that question, right? Like at 22 or whether at 12, it's okay to say, bro, I need this in my life. Like, even if it's for a moment, like mentors don't, like my Mr. Wild story doesn't happen for everybody. You don't find nobody 30 years later that still rock with you. But if somebody rock with you hard for a year, oh, that's life changing.
Yeah, trust me.
And then you move to the next person, another year, life changing. You keep building. It's like you're building a wall, so to speak. Yeah.
You think you ever too old to have a mentor?
No. I still got folks that mentor me and I reach out to, and some of them are near my age. So I'm 51. I got people that's like 53, 48 that I still reach for and say, yo, I need some pouring into. Right? One of my first bosses I ever had in this work nonprofit and working with youth, her name is June Perry, love her to death. She was my first vision of doing this CEO work. Right? Like like I saw the black system was popping. Like man, I followed her ever since. So yeah, it matters. So I still talk to him, my former boss I used to have for Boys and Girls Club. I still reach out. And he lives in Atlanta now. When I'm in Atlanta, we grab dinner. Chop it up. So it's important. Can't stop.
Got it. That's super deep.
We're gonna move into the next section.
The deep dive.
The deep dive.
Deep dive. Okay.
Deep dive. So this is just a segment in which we ask a question that can be like clearly expounded on that we can have a deep conversation about. And today's question is, if you could change one problem in the world today, what would it be? Why?
Education.
Okay.
Education system is jacked up. The system of education is terrible. Like, again, if you look at anything around education, it has the same setup in the schools that are failing, which is what? Desk, teacher up front, listen to what I'm saying, read this book, take this test, go home. Oh, you failed, it's over. Right. And so when you look at the way the educational system has failed us as students of color in particular, that was a design. And I don't care what nobody says, it was designed. That system was designed for us to fail. But then we keep kicking the door down
But we have to remember, we have to tear down the systems that exist. There's no reason, and it's no knock on the other schools. There's no reason like a Nicolay or Whitefish Bay, which are basically public community schools, and for their neighborhoods, have what they have. And then we do go to a Riverside or a King, and they ain't got nothing that's comparable. That's a shame. You're telling me money and privilege allow me to have a better quote unquote educational system. That's bogus as hell.
I know, and it's real bad because like they say racism, like, and there's no like it's not. They do not understand that systemic racism, like the education, is really what's holding us back and holding us down.
Dollars should not drive someone in poverty to receive a quality education.
Like what? Like because they literally they base it off of tax dollars. So it's your whatever neighborhood you live in. Those tax dollars is what funds the school. So obviously, if you're in a poor neighborhood, you're only relying on those tax dollars. Your education system, your school is not going to be able to have the same resources as you said, in Nicolay, as the rich white schools like Homestead, all of that.
And think about it. If let's say I'm in one of these schools within the district, MPS, right? And I still think MPS is the best district there is, simply because it deals with more than anybody else. But if I'm without question, right? So if I'm a third grader at a school that doesn't have art, gym, or music, and you expect me to have a balanced social emotional learning, like, get the hell out of here.
You just said it. Well, teacher just standing up there telling you, like, because it's memorization more so than absorbing it, like,
or finding a passion. Like if all of our schools had music and art, we would find more of our babies not having to run to find this stuff elsewhere. They can do it in school all day, and it grows. Versus throwing a basketball or a football out, and those be the two things. Like, we should have golf in every one of our schools, soccer in every one of our schools, baseball, softball. Like, we should have everything that's awarded to every other district, with folks with money to come right to those who don't have that money. And so for me, it'll be changing the educational system to make sure every young person, I'm being 100, every young person. So I'm not eliminating suburban schools.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Equal. It should be equal across the board. I should be able to walk in and choose my lunch just like Nicolay does.
Exactly. Not giving like
the same lunch. I mean, I'll take the mock chicken leg still. Don't ever take
the mock chicken leg with the mashed potatoes.
Still taking it, bro. I'll still take it.
Come on now.
I'm just simply saying, like, that still was a meal back in my day that I'm still rocking. So.
Yeah, I was eating that when I was in PS.
So no, that's for sure, man. Like, if we can change our education, and there's organizations who are attempting to do that, but again, it takes money, right? Like, when you again have buildings as old as, say, MPS does, and like, y'all remember they shut down because it's 100 degrees, right? Because there's no AC. But then that's a lost day of education, right? So then when I do come back in the winter, heat may not work one day, right? Like, there's so many things that we want, quote unquote, to eliminate, to improve that there's equality and equity in everything our young babies go through.
No, I completely agree. And because like I have it's the whole school, so like the whole school system. So like is like I said, it's more
memory.
Even
get to college.
No, college is it's the same because it's still part of the same. Because when I got to college, I was expecting, like, of course it was different because it's college, but I mean it's still the same. You got the teacher up there, and you're like I'm having to memorize. I'm just having to memorize stuff, and I'm not learning this stuff. Yeah. It's not. So, for example, like I started working in media, like at the radio stations in my junior year in college.
Okay.
So I learned more my first couple months working there than all 4 years than when they was teaching me at school.
Oh, yeah, and that's what destroys hopes and dreams. So, to y'all thing, Dreamcatchers. If you got a young person coming through the educational system, let's say he is in poverty, let's say he's in a single family household, let's say he has multiple siblings, like, start to add up everything that's a barrier. By the time he thought of a dream or she thought of a dream, he loses that dream in the same breath, because who's pouring into that dream? Exactly. If I say I dream about being a ballerina, I dream about being a tech guy, and I go to school and I just get to say, here go your Chromebooks, and I'm about to tell you what to do. And then, ain't no music class here, sorry. No, we got music class next week, but it's once a week or twice a month. Destroying dreams before the dreams get started. So, absolutely, man. College can be the same way.
So how you feel about them trying to get rid of the affirmative action and the critical race theory in the school system?
Well, think about it. Like, people talk about critical race theory, but the truth is, no one teaching critical race theory is in the school system right now.
No, we didn't learn critical race theory.
And so that's a made-up thing from a system level, oppressive, racist ideology. It's like critical race theory. Fam, don't nobody teach that. You got to go to college and say, I want to learn that. Yeah. Basically, what they're removing is history. Like, the thing we got to a point where we wanted to talk about why or what slavery did here in this country. I think now the key is for us to also teach to our students of color, in particular our Black kids, is your history prior to coming here. Like that has to be part of the world, right? Like because yes, there was a slave trade. That was a business transaction. But before people got on that boat, look at everything and look at all the resources in Africa, right? And so to your point, that's nothing more than some people thinking they're losing something, and so we're not going to talk about why slavery benefited. Like, bro, let's just keep it 100. It was a business transaction. White folks dominated. It built this country. Let's just be real. But then look at the domino effect of slavery. Everything from redlining, everything from Jim Crow, everything from the Civil Rights Act, everything from how the education system was built, how the employment, housing, all of that was based on slavery. Those are just facts. And that ain't, like, fam, don't get mad. No, you weren't there when the first boat got here. I get it. But those are facts. Stop fighting facts.
It's documented.
Listen, documented. We know banks. We know there were banks in this country that made their wealth off of slavery.
Sure.
Like that, a person's body was part of your quote unquote net worth.
For
So
sure.
we talk. That's just facts.
For sure.
Like you were able. Like I don't know if y'all know this, and you can Google it. But Georgetown University, they were going bankrupt at one point in time, right? So they sold slaves to pay not to go bankrupt.
Wow.
Georgetown University, the Georgetown University.
Man.
So fast forward, they recognize, we built our success off of the slaves that we had. They said to rectify it, they're giving descendants of those slaves scholarships to come to school. I want to say scholarships, so I may be wrong, but they are doing something to reward. They also have started renaming buildings on behalf of the name of the slaves that they sold. So again, that's facts. That's historical knowledge. So when people argue like, well, critical race theory or affirmative action, it's because someone feared that they're losing something that quote unquote they think we're getting, not understanding that the system still exists, that's still meant and designed to keep Negroes in a certain space. And for some reason though, they fear that something's changed. I don't know if that's because we have a Black president and a Black vice president, but they tripping.
Now you really just opened my mind. Because I wasn't thinking of critical race theory like in that manner. I was more so thinking we need to learn it because we need to know because I was thinking it was more so they didn't want to teach critical race theory because they didn't want white people to feel guilty.
That's part of their issue. But they also want to, they have to eliminate quote unquote the badness of how we labeled the United States. Like let's keep it 100. It was built off of that, right? And so and when you do that though, you get what they, empathy from understanding. Like there's something called slavery syndrome. What is it called? I'm losing. But anyway, the ideology around it is the way we as a people have grown is based on how slavery has played an effect on our mental. So I tell people to think about it this way. Imagine being in a house. Imagine you sit in a room and say there's an abusive spouse or father, mother, whoever, and everything something was wrong, people was getting whipped, beat, and to the point where you had to, quote unquote, do a different behavior. So take that up, and as you grow up, what are you gonna start teaching that person behind? Hey, don't do that. You're gonna get whooped. So then what do you do that? Hey, don't let that do that. Hey, and then so you add on the flavor of, he think he's smarter than you. Hey, he can't be smarter than you. So when you think about everything that's happened from slavery per se, the mental has been impacted and it got carried over. Like we had a discussion about something called, you have to look this up too, respectability politics. You notice how we quote unquote as a people have to dress a certain way to be accepted into certain communities. Or we have to dress a certain way to even have a conversation. Well, I kind of bucked the system a little bit in that because y'all won't see me Lanelle wearing too many ties. You'll see me with some J's and a hat and a suit on sometimes. Like, because I wanted to break the barrier of like, stop looking at what I got on before you try to have a conversation with me.
Don't
Let's
judge
just
a
talk.
book by the cover. For sure.
No, don't get me wrong. I'll be on y'all with your haircuts now. You know what I'm saying?
No, I was just about to say. That's why I have my hair exactly like this. I keep it like this for that reason.
And that's generational though, right? So I've learned though that how do we address that? By mirroring what we say we're okay with and what we want to see. Like, don't get me wrong, fam. I'll be on all the little kids I ever come. Hey, man, what's wrong with your hair, man?
Yeah, I'm
I'll
not.
let you
Maybe
go,
I'm
man.
to me. I'm already knowing.
But I love it though, because respectability politics, we had to do it in order to get in certain doors. And we had to do it to stay in those doors. Even to walk in certain churches, if we didn't look a certain way, we weren't respected. So I'm trying to debunk the myth of what we look like as a people. Don't get me wrong. I love it when y'all get sharp. I love it when y'all get slick. Like, you know, and that's why I love to get slick sometimes, right? And because that's a part of, but let it be authentic. Don't do it because I want them to open that door for me, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, this is who I am. If you don't want this, I'm good. Have a nice day. So,
reparations. You talked about how Georgetown, like gave the descendants something like that. Because
we were just talking about this on the last podcast.
We were talking about Tulsa,
recorded, the
Black Wall Street. So, how do you feel about reparations for Black people?
It's, you know, if others can get it, why can't we? Consider we. You know, again, you know, there's no other people in this country that has brought more wealth to this country. We built this country. Like, you look at everything the cotton, tobacco fields did. You look at all of that. It was off of us, right?
We built the White House.
Literally, and designed it. But that's another story, right? So reparations is old. I do want to see, though, and I would love to see, is because we have to look at financial and wealth differently as a people. So with reparations, we got to figure out what that means and what that looks like, and how do we you know we love to use the word flip it, right? I don't say flip it. I just want to make sure I'm leaving something for my grandsons, my granddaughters, generational wealth, right? Like, that's what the Kennedys did. That's what the Bush family did.
That's what the White
they got a plan. Like, great got $30 million in the bank. And he know, like, but they also got taught, no, you're gonna be the president of this company. You still gotta do this because this gotta go here. Like, we gotta teach that with reparations, because reparations is, yes, for me, it's give me a check, bro, but also we gotta repair in reparations minds and hearts, right? Like, all of that, and so reparations to me is a kind of combination of things.
Nah, I love it. No, that was, hey, listen, I learned it. That was
some knowledge.
That was a lecture. I listen, if school was like that, we would be good.
Right?
That was cool. We'll actually be learning.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do, man. And, like, you got. That's why I said we too as a people. We have this conversation about being accountable. Like, again, back to a mentor's role, right? Accountability comes also at the peer level. When y'all think about each other, y'all all 22, 23, right? Y'all are responsible for each other too at this level of stuff. Like, whether it's buying some sneakers off StockX for $300 because I'm watching a pair and I can't do it. I can't spend it. I can't do it. But, or whether it's getting in the car like when the Kia boys got hot. Like, you know, and I always tell people, yo, that's somebody's little cousin, somebody's little brother, somebody's little something. Like, somebody got to be like, folks, come here.
Yeah.
Nah, you tripping, because didn't you just see the 5 people that died in the minivan?
Crazy.
Like, so accountability for us as a people must become also a priority, right? On top of spirituality for me, but no, spirituality is important, and then accountability. But that's part of growth and learning, because now we're able to have real conversations. If I can kind of tell somebody they're out of order, but still give them a hug and say, I love you though. Like, you still my peoples, but you tripping right now. So,
what was your reaction to the Kia boys?
I thought it was glorified more than it had to be, because if y'all remember the timeline, when it was happening, it was here. The moment it got more social media attention, or more this attention, or more that, it grew like that.
Because whole Midwest, Atlanta got it.
But I think that was because people, young people in particular, still want to get love. And if you got to get love, like I told you earlier, in social media, guess what?
Dang.
I'll take it.
It's the TikTok, man. So they want to be trending.
Because think about the money behind influencers. How many times have y'all heard influencers are millionaires now?
Yeah,
man.
So now when young people are still in Kia, but like, you know, they think they're gonna be a millionaire, but they're getting attention, which equates to love. So even when I do, like, because one of my roles in the community is I sit on the Fire and Police Commission. So as a commissioner, my job is to monitor, support, or make sure policing and firefighting in this city is, I like to say equitable, but it's being done in the right way, right? So when we were seeing the reports around the Kia boys and stolen cars, and then death and stolen cars starting to uptick, and then the violence and all that, first conversation I said is, yo, stop reporting on it in the news like it's glorified. Eliminate that. Think about it, yo. How, like, I'm not saying Kia boys and Kia girls don't exist right now, but have we seen it hurt as much as we did? No. Absolutely not. Like, yes, the city decided to tear up the entire city with construction, bump outs, tear up all walnut, like, which is part of the strategy. But it eliminated the positivity of the press. There was some accountability that started to come into play, and it started to go down a little bit. We gotta really control and own that accountability piece when stuff is popping off. It's just like people are pistol playing all night. Everybody got a pole. Everybody want a pole. Everybody stashing a pole. Nobody don't know any box no more. Yeah. We went from the fighting on like World Star and everybody started fighting. Tonight everybody started shooting.
The 30 seconds. Remember 30 seconds, 60
We're
seconds.
gonna go 30
Second
seconds.
it.
No
And now nobody want to throw hands no more. Now and then you figure folks get locked up and now this and that and like, bro, like you earned that lockup. What we talking about? You just saw 3 innocent people got shot, 2 got killed. Like, no, you gotta go. Now let's figure out that you'll never do it again. What's real mental health? What does that look like to make sure that never happens again? But that too, I think, became glorification. Like on the news, that's all we saw, or it's like somebody popping off and shooting off, and it was like, oh my God, we got to eliminate the negative media and replace it with what y'all doing. So,
I work in the news, and that is my beef with the news.
yeah,
That it literally, because it's so obviously money is the main thing. How do you get money?
you know the thing they used to have in the news?
Well,
If it bleeds, it leads.
boom. It's a movie actually
Wow.
where Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler, that do exactly like that.
If it
But it's the
bleeds,
fact that like it's all about ratings. The
Yeah.
higher rating you get, the more you can charge advertisers. The more
That's the
advertisers
game.
you
So
get, the more money. So it's like it's really, man. I don't want to. It's bad. You know what I'm
great.
saying? So like,
I got on the media's tail about that too. Like they came to me one time. I'm like, y'all just reporting stuff. Like back to the Kid Boys or the violence. Like, stop talking about the stuff that's negative all the time. Let's talk about all the positive.
but it's
a
never
lot.
talk about positive stuff. Like it's very rare, and if it is, it's so trivial. Like it's not. You know what I'm saying?
It's a small spotlight. Like,
That's
you probably
it.
got a little quick interview, then you go on.
Yeah, like and we own that too. Like like how do we use our social media?
Yeah.
Like we have power.
Yeah.
Like versus the World Star. No. Let's go Dreamcatchers. Dog. Boom.
That's what I'm
22-year-olds doing this now. Let's talk about it. So I share y'all stuff. You share somebody else's positive stuff. Eliminate what people are sharing that's negative. Don't reshare negative stuff. Like reshare the positive, and then we change the image and the narrative of who we are and what we are. Like to your point, like I love people say kings and queens because we're from the motherland. Even there we wasn't all kings and queens, but guess what? We all got treated in a way that made you feel like a king or queen. So let's go back to treatment. Let's change the narrative, and then we can move from there. Like we got to the habit of, oh, let me share. Dog got knocked out. Oh, dog did this. Oh, dog.
That's so crazy. But then when it's positive stuff, we don't reshare.
I know,
Like
we
just
we
go
keep it moving.
past.
We keep it moving.
Don't even like it, man.
Like listen,
Don't even follow.
say it again. I follow. I at least
Yeah,
I don't even know how to use Instagram.
That's what I'm saying. That he on it. So what we trying to figure out what's going on. But that's neither.
Right.
That's neither here nor there.
I just wanted to touch on you said you sat on you were commissioner for the fire department.
Fire
How
and
did that
Police
come
Commission.
about?
So the Fire and Police Commission it's actually what's dope. It's the strongest civilian-led board in the country. So what happens is the mayor gets an opportunity to appoint up to 9 citizens to manage the fire and police department. So what does that look like? We get to hire and potentially fire the fire and police chief. We get to deny promotions or accept promotions of people moving into leadership roles. We get the opportunity. So here's where that racist ideology kicked in. So the Republicans, and y'all might have heard this a little bit, but the Republicans in Madison decided the city of Milwaukee had to remove the power of the Fire and Police Commission to make policy change. Because that used to be our number one thing we can do. So what does policy change look like? We were able to eliminate here in Milwaukee no-knock warrants. So no-knock warrants, y'all remember Breonna Taylor, right? And how that was the issue in Louisville. Exactly. So we eliminated that here and through Fire and Police Commission. So our role in that was like, y'all can't keep kicking in people's doors and then shoot and then ask questions later.
Yeah.
Like that's just wrong, right? I'm not saying there's not times where they felt like they had to do it, and I get it. They have the dangerous jobs in the world. And I got mad respect for police. And so in my role, I get the opportunity to do that. So they stripped us of the power of making policy change, which was a political move, and it is what it is. But I still have the right to partner with, and I say partner with the police chief and the fire chief, because as they make policy, they still give it to us to review, and then we have an opportunity to sit at the table to talk about why we think it's bad for our community or why we think it's good for our community.
Now, this is only Milwaukee, or this is for the whole West?
So think about this. No, so we only got Milwaukee. Every city in the country has some type of commission. Our commission, though, is entirely made up of civilians, which makes it the most powerful civilian board there is. Other ones have like union appoint people. The mayor appoint people, but they're union members of the police department or union members of the fire department. We are not like that. The police, literally, the mayor can appoint whom we want, but it's made up of civilians, which gives us power to make sure whoever's policing us, we have some say.
That's nice. I didn't know anything about that.
It's dope. It's a dope opportunity.
Yeah.
So now, our last final segment.
Yes, sir.
This is a segment called This or That. We give you two options.
This or that. You ever heard that song?
That.
You
can
give
give
it
this,
or you can give it that.
You know what I'm saying? That got to be the theme song.
That was
for
probably
this.
a Kia commercial. We was talking about the Kia boys. I think that they have that song on the Kia commercial.
It's an old school song.
With the rats. With the rats. Y'all remember the big rats?
Oh,
They're
man.
getting out the Kia Souls.
Oh, Jesus.
Y'all gonna remember that.
I remember that.
Y'all gonna remember that.
That was old school hip hop. Old school. This or that. Let's get it.
Would you rather live in a world where there is no crime or no privacy?
No crime or no privacy. No crime.
No crime?
No crime. We ain't got no privacy right now.
This is
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what we got
yeah,
great
yeah,
things.
yeah. You talking about this phone, social media.
Everybody got some, man.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah. I didn't even think about that. We got the cushion.
Everybody see you, man. Cameras all through here. Camera when we walk outside. They got it.
Sorry, I get you already. You got us that way. You got to the next one.
Misunderstood after death or forgotten after death?
Ooh.
That's a big one.
I will. Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't play.
Yeah,
Dream team, not a part.
I told you, this is not
Dream
surface
team.
level.
So I would say forgotten because I'd rather leave an imprint on who I touched while I was alive and let them be able to move on than somebody worried about me after I'm gone. Because I want to see my God, so it don't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, so
For sure.
You did not, because you opened my mind with that. So like when I'm thinking about forgotten after death, I wasn't thinking you go live through the people you touched.
Exactly.
and then carry on from whatever you left them or whatever seeds you planted in them. So to be misunderstood, it means people gonna keep talking bad about your name.
And it's because like
even like the artists we see, or I say artists, but just the people, the game changers we see in the world right now, we don't
know the source. We don't know who they, you know what I'm saying, who inspired them and who inspired the person that inspired them. So
That's right.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The last one.
Last one.
get
Now this one came just because you made a comment
Okay, let's get it.
and said Michael Jordan
Let's go. Okay.
was the GOAT.
Absolutely.
So MJ or Bron?
No question. It's no question.
Can you explain to me why you think it's no question?
Okay. So I know first thing people say is championships, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody
So let's take it off, right? Jay was scoring title, I want to say 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
He was all defensive team, I think 9 years in a row.
times, yeah.
He won defensive player of the year one time. He won 5 league MVPs. He won 6 championship MVPs. He left the game fully to go play baseball, came back, got smacked that first year, then won 3 more, and then bought a team to play at 40. Like,
Jesus.
fam, the GOAT, bro. Like, don't get it. And the sneaker game is sick. Like,
Sneaker
you know what I
game
mean?
is
Like,
crazy.
don't get me. Here's the deal, though. And me and my sons and my daughters, like, we literally talk about this. This is what I would say I love about Bron. He has left an impact in so many different ways. And this is the way I want y'all to catch this one. His circle. He brought his dudes to millionaire status. And not like, here you go. You know, no, fam, go be the best agent there is. Yo, no, you gonna be this dude.
My
like,
business partner.
Like, that's more impressive to me than, he's a phenomenal basketball player. I won't take that away. But for what he did on that, dog, listen, bro, like, that's what it's about.
That's bigger than basketball.
I put that into LeBron James.
Okay, can I break down to you why LeBron James is the GOAT?
I'm all ears.
First off, we can start back to when he was just a little kid. Obviously, when he was the high school phenom. Like
Number one prospect.
ever, the youngest player to ever be on the cover of ESPN.
Internet, but go ahead.
Okay, that's another reason why LeBron is the GOAT as well. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna touch to that. I'm gonna touch to the internet part. So we start from when he's a little kid. Okay, he 18 years old. We really could have went to the league at 16, but his mama made him stay. He got to the league at 18 years old, dealing with the pressures of being the next. Michael Jordan never came in with the pressures to be the greatest of all time.
The next anything.
Like.
Hold on, pause. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna have you do this. I want y'all to Google Bobby Knight. You know who Bobby Knight is?
Google this real quick.
Google Bobby Knight. Google Bobby Knight. He gave a speech.
North Carolina.
He gave a speech on when he watched Michael Jordan in the 1984 Olympics, and Bobby Knight is probably the most toughest, rawest coach ever. The difference in the pressure, I absolutely hear you. Like where they put LeBron on this thing and said this. Jordan had to go show y'all everywhere he went, I'm that dude. So there was a speech Bobby Knight gave because he was the coach of the Olympics, and he was just talking about how he didn't even know what to say to Jordan because Jordan had like 26 and 8. They up by like 30. And he's like, but I got to coach him. I got to figure out something. And he said Jordan went out in that second half and still played like he was down by 20. And he kept looking like this dude is the best dude on the planet.
I feel that, and that's part of the reason why Jordan's a second. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, no.
Do you think it'll ever be a point where you would say, all right, Brian better than Jordan?
So that's what I'm saying.
It's nothing you can do.
Only because Brian been doing it 20 years. I remember I told you I'm a basketball head. Like I love the game of basketball, and I absolutely adore it. I got favorite players. I got the GOAT. Like my actually what's funny is like Jordan is the GOAT, so I can't say my list, but he's my number one, whatever. But then there was Larry Johnson for me. Y'all know Larry Johnson, Grandmama. Charlotte, that was my dude. I followed him since college days. Steph Curry is my number one favorite player ever to play the game. So I look at the game through different lenses. Like you can have your favorites and all this, but Jay, dog, like I understand y'all 22, but y'all, man, if you, Jesus, the thing this man used to do on the court to grown men on the like.
See, is that more nostalgia or is it because like the stuff I'm seeing LeBron do? I'm thinking the same. You saying win everywhere you go, and I'm just saying LeBron is the first player to win, have Finals MVP on 3 different teams. Every single team he's been on, he got a ring, got a Finals MVP in the East and the West. We can talk about the greatest ring of all time, 2016.
You better stop. You better stop.
Hold on, talk.
Hey man, shut this.
Hold on,
You talking about the bubble?
No, not the bubble. 2016, 3-1. 73-9 Warriors, unanimous MVP.
You do realize, like, you got to play that game back and remember a couple things happen. If Draymond don't get kicked out that game, that joker is over. It's 4-1.
Why don't they win the games that Draymond came back for?
Part of the game, and you understand the game, right?
I understand momentum.
And that's exactly what happened. And once you lose, it's just like the same thing what happened to OKC when they was playing against the Warriors and they was at 3-1. Once you got the momentum,
I got something for that. Because Kevin Love missed the game too. We can.
Kevin Love was not he did not equate to what
Draymond Green.
Your third best player does not do what Draymond Green does for the Golden State Warriors.
Okay, I understand that. But okay, look. Okay, but hold on. Talk about. You can say that, but at the end of the day, LeBron James they came back 3-1 in the NBA Finals against 73-9. You don't think that is
that was a beautiful feat that he did perform. Did not make him the GOAT. Because here's the thing, there were a couple things we're missing. If you're saying he's the GOAT, he didn't leapfrog Kobe. He didn't leapfrog Larry Bird. He didn't leapfrog Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, I'm just saying, like,
the greatest scorer in the history of basketball, the leader who has the most points in playoffs. He's top 5 in fame. The fact that you can say he played 20 years, but that's why he's the GOAT for me. The fact that he could keep this up. Listen, there's 5 players to play 21 seasons. The highest point per game average, 7 points per game. LeBron James just averaged 30 last season. He just became the leading scorer ever last season. He got the second most Finals MVPs ever. The most points, top 5 in assists.
Second to who?
No, listen. Okay, we can talk about that too. Michael Jordan, for example. He had more. He had the greatest coach. Second greatest coach of all time now with Greg Popovich as the greatest coach of all time. But
But wait. Kobe had the same coach.
Kobe's not better than. I don't even. That's not really a argument about guys.
You said the best coach. So I'm just saying, if that's the fact, and you're saying that that's the only reason Jordan was like,
That's one of the reasons. On top of consistency, having a team. For example, when you say he left and went to play baseball. The Bulls' record was they only lost 2 more games.
Right. They still had a great season.
They still were great.
But they didn't win no championship.
But think about when LeBron leaves. And when LeBron leaves, everybody's at the Cavs get the number one.
Well, listen, and that's part of nostalgia. That's part of what he brings. Because when he leaves, you're right. He leaves.
It's over.
And he taking players too.
No. But no, wherever he goes, the fans the
money goes.
All that, man. The ring goes as well. Because everywhere he goes, he has a ring. Don't matter the coach. Bro.
So you're a LeBron fan, I take it.
LeBron James is the greatest basketball player that ever stepped foot on the court. He can play all 5 positions, defend all 5 positions, going through the social media era, going through these talk shows, having to constantly hear all of this.
Negativity.
Oh my goodness, and having to live through that, navigate through that. Never had one blemish, nothing. This man come out. He can do literally everything on the court.
Big though.
No. Listen.
There's nothing he can't
As a
do.
person, like I told you, dude is raw dog. Like he for real. Like I give it to him, man. And I'm not knocking. He not that dude on the court. He does lead. Like he dominates the game. But the entire time Jordan was in the league, there was nobody else that got questioned who was the best. During the tenure that LeBron has been here, at one point in time, Giannis was the best.
No, he's the best right now.
At one point in time, Steph Curry was the best.
Well,
At one point in time, KD, Kawhi. Like, so there have never been a time in the time Jordan stepped foot on that court during his era where dudes weren't like, no, he really better than, ain't nobody better than Dog.
But that's kind of my point. Competition. LeBron James has faced more competition. More competition. Oh my God.
Don't start that.
Come on, man. The greatest shooter ever, the greatest power. We literally don't play the greatest ever. Like we graded Stephen Curry, Tim Duncan, we had Kobe, Kawhi, KD. Kevin Durant is the second best small forward ever. Who better than Kevin Durant? Larry Bird. Oh
Joe,
my
come
God.
on, plug this down. Come on, Joe. Come on.
What are we?
Real quick, before you wrap it up. We got this Dreamcatcher shirt. We always get a guest. So I just wanted to hand this out to Lanelle. Appreciate you for coming.
Hey, caught, baby. It's
For
caught.
sure.
Johnny to give me a small size for this is a dress, bro. Like I'm a little dude. I got y'all, man.
That is, what size is it?
This my wife gonna sleep in this. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen.
This is love, though. I appreciate y'all even thinking about me. This is love. I'll take it.
Thank you. Listen, Lanelle, dude, this has been absolutely fantastic. This has been more
eye-opening.
This has been more than a podcast. This has really been a lecture.
A TED Talk.
TED Talk.
No, TED Talk for real. Like we learned a lot, which we
appreciate that.
One of the reasons why we wanted to come here and we knew that was gonna happen. Somebody with the knowledge, with the wisdom, with the credit, the cred in the community.
I'll take it. Thank you.
We needed that. So you just got done watching another episode of Ydt Dreamcatchers podcast, where we don't chase dreams, nah.
We catch them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Woo!